Welcome, Peter. I'm so happy to have you here. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm excellent.
I know. Would you like to share with my audience a little bit about your professional story?
Yeah, I would like to start that even if my story hears or reads like interesting novel, it was not just ups. And I must say that I learned most from my failures. And this also contributed most to my professional development because I needed to change something, and especially I needed to change me in order to make a progress. So I started in '97 as a IT programmer, and I did first e-shops in '97, and then because there was no environment for that, I had to do my company. And after the company, I had to go into transaction institutions because my e-shop needed clients to pay online. So I had to discover this area. Then I specialized in transaction institutions. Then I was invited to a team that helped in financial institutions where we organized investment money and investment funds. Then from investment funds, I was, because I had some maturity after 7 years in business, I took over family investment business. We started with in UK with mostly with shares in the company, and also some patents and brand deals. Then we moved in 2007 because of the taxation changed in UK. Namely, the World Taxation Treaty ended. So everything what you did outside UK was not taxed until late 2007. Then we moved our family office, or it would be called family office now. It was called Family Trust at that time, to Switzerland. And then I had a family trust from 2007 till 2019. In 2019, I experienced severe burnout. I was overweight. I was not motivated. I found no passion in anything. So I just moved to the family farm. Said, okay, I need to get my stuff together. I started with, I had a lot of coaches, so they helped me a lot. Thank you if they're listening. And I started with a strict diet, a lot of fasting, and also strict exercise routine. That was the one part. On the other part, I was 40 at that time, and I had a really long bucket list what I had to do. Namely, I was also always passionate about car collecting. I wanted to have free-range animals. I wanted to do my own food. I wanted to try self-sufficiency, how this works. With solar power, with charge, what's called cogeneration, smart houses, all this I wanted to try. I'm also a passionate carpenter.
Really?
So I built my own carpenter shop that I use frequently. And I just started doing that. And after 2 years, I just couldn't just take off my hobbies anymore. Although I had always a side business because from investment banking time in Switzerland, I often helped my friends with due diligence work on different companies that they were taking over, because I was specialized before in mergers and acquisitions. And I also do a lot of financial brokerage. So if companies need either capital or loan, I would help them. After that, I said, okay, this is boring. And it's very lucrative, but it's boring stuff. So I started developing the thing that I'm passionate about, that is artificial intelligence. And I specialized in risk management in artificial intelligence. I wrote a book recently. I prepared a Udemy course for entry-level risk management in artificial intelligence, just to get to know what the risks are. And also I'm doing workshops and some consulting work on this topic.
You know, they tell me my life is a movie, but I should say that your life is a movie. This story is for a TEDx. So from investment banking all the way to burnout and then building up yourself once again. It's truly remarkable what you have did. I didn't know many of these things, especially the carpenter part. But thank you so much for sharing this so vulnerably. You know, people usually tend to think that everything comes overnight, but you just showed us it's not the case. Lately, I was diving in artificial intelligence very deeply. And because I help people to build their businesses online, and I was talking only about the positive aspects of artificial intelligence. And I'm very glad that you're here so we can dive a little bit deeper into risk management of artificial intelligence, because obviously it exists. So let's start with this simple question. Is AI just a buzzword, or what's actually going on out there?
So first, I wanted to say that I'm an admirer of your work, especially knowing that you're a programmer. So you have a lot of technical background about artificial intelligence. So I'm a huge fan. I don't want to sound like someone who is scared or scare anyone away from artificial intelligence. I encourage use of artificial intelligence. However, it's like with driving. I would encourage anyone who drives a car regularly that goes and next to the driver's exam, that they go to different school of fast driving, drifting, rally, all this stuff, so that they get some additional experience that might come handy in everyday life. So to sum it up, the risks in artificial intelligence are omnipresent. However, we need to learn how to mitigate these risks. So I do not encourage avoiding artificial intelligence. I would claim that in the near future, it will practically be impossible to avoid artificial intelligence. However, I do encourage that you know as much as possible about the risks. And then according to the risk management theory, you can either avoid these risks, accept these risks, and insure them in best case, or transfer the risks. So this is the basic of what I do. I try to help companies avoid and transfer the risks. That is most of my consulting effort is about.
And what is mostly overlooked when we talk about AI risks?
Yeah, the presence of the risks is overlooked. Whatever we do right now, especially in the office, is somehow connected with artificial intelligence risks. The simplest thing that I would like to stress, and it's also a bit of a joke, is, for example, we have all of us have spelling aid, and that is artificial intelligence aided on our phone. So, and let's say that you talk with your neighbors and you said, or you're trying, you sent him message that I'm doing your Wi-Fi, or and the Wi-Fi gets because of the artificial intelligence get translated or spelled as a wife. And then imagine what comes up if you tell your neighbor that you're doing his wife instead of his Wi-Fi. So this is one. It's a joke, but when you're drafting a contract, this could be a huge problem. This could escalate. So I'm helping a lot of US legal companies and paralegal staffers to understand what are the risks if they are using artificial intelligence in their work.
Mm-hmm.
Another huge risk is that what we are unique in or about, or where is our company's edge. If we put our knowledge in public artificial intelligence network or engine, however we want to call it, everyone from our competitors that will use this engine will benefit of what we have, let's say, teach this artificial intelligence model. Namely, I had a case in Chicago with a legal team just a couple of weeks ago. They were considering using one app that helps legal and paralegal teams search through their contracts. And the biggest problem or the biggest challenge is that, let's say, the senior consultant or the senior staffers have their tricks how they find something faster. So if they teach this trick to this module that is available to all legal companies in US, they will lose their edge. So I said, you can use this like language learning system or similar, but it must be for your company only. It should not be available to others. So whatever you teach this model should be available just to you. And because most companies that are offering useful apps right now, they're using modules for everyone, because that is how the module learn much faster. That is one huge problem in offices. That was for a legal office, but similar is for content creators. If you're a content creator, first you don't know for example, ChatGPT has the biggest problem that if you don't instruct the engine that they have to make a quote and quotations, they will not quote. They will put the output will be like the ChatGPT has written that.
Rewritten, yeah.
So you have problem with intellectual property rights. And you cannot influence it because you just didn't demand of ChatGPT to quote something. And we saw that ChatGPT 3 was so intelligent that quoted news articles that they were not there. So these are huge problems, especially if there's a court case on the end, and you quote an article that does not exist as a base for your research, as a base for your, let's say, article that you're accusing someone of something, and then we can come to defamation and all these charges. So especially content creators have huge challenge how to go about it, because we as a content creator, we need to quote everyone if possible, of course. And AI engine are not let's say made to the extent, because most of them will say the engine is just a beta version or it's now available. But as you see, that all apps that you purchase have a disclaimer that they don't, they're not responsible for the outcomes. So this is also a huge problem. If you're purchasing app for your company, demand of the producer or a programmer or however you want to call it, a developer, that they take responsibility, because they can insure, like they can get indemnity insurance. Or if that is not possible, because some companies like OpenAI will just tell you to go somewhere else, you need to insure it with your insurance agency. That is extremely important.
So how we can actually protect ourselves? ChatGPT is an open source and every chat is separate for itself. It has data until 2021. I guess they will update it soon. They actually invited me to train it for Serbian language. So now they're seeking for experts to protect it a little bit. But you mentioned modules. What I've noticed is that when we open a new chat and we ask ChatGPT whatever, it will consult the database it has. I need to train it inside of the specific chat to get the output that I need to get. I need to train it. Who am I? What's my business about? What I want to achieve? And as soon as I open a new chat, it forgets everything. So I need to train it once again.
So in programming, as you are aware of, you have operations and you have data. So ChatGPT forgets data that you have fed him. However, if it's online or in cloud, it knows operations.
That's exactly what I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Because although it might seem like it's forgotten what we just fed it, it definitely isn't faded away. It's somewhere out there, and it's stored somewhere as a valuable data. So I see a huge risk in intentionally using these tools for not so good cause. Is there any way that we can protect ourselves, for example, as content creators, when we create content or something like that, that is inside of our bubble, or still not?
No, there are many ways, especially disclaimers are the simplest trick, and say, okay, our content work was partially or created by AI. Please understand the AI is in development phase, so we assume no responsibility. If you believe that something is wrong, please contact us. So disclaimer is one of the simplest thing to protect yourself against any litigations. And then, of course, if someone complains and say, okay, this is my property, you will have to erase it or pay them compensation. That is also important, because a lot of companies have complaints. So disclaimer, and when they get a complaint, they don't do anything about it. You have to be diligent about these complaints, because you will lose on court if someone proves that even if ChatGPT has taken their work and did not quote it, you are liable for that. That is also extremely important, that you understand that it's a tool. So if you have a chainsaw and you hurt someone, or property of someone is not chainsaw fault, it's your fault, because you're operating the chains.
Exactly. Before we started, I mentioned you that it took me like 2.5 months to prepare all the content and material for one workshop. Now I did it in 2.5 weeks. That is obviously a benefit of artificial intelligence, but I want to thank you from the core of my heart for mentioning the other side of it, because I think it's very, very important that we know how to protect ourselves, especially businesses who are implementing now artificial intelligence in their systems. It's a great tool, but we need to be aware of the consequences. Like in educational institutions, imagine students now just generating their works through AI. It's not going to be well. But what is more important, intelligence or wisdom? What do you think? Does artificial intelligence has a potential to actually be wise, or it's just a program like everything else?
So my personal opinion, maybe not rooted in reality, is that wisdom does not just come from experiences, but also from a chemical and different processes in our body. So I'm a strong believer of body cognition. And because artificial intelligence in this instance does not have a body, so body cognition is not possible, because for example, certain artificial intelligence does not have a gut feeling, because they don't have a gut. So wisdom is so it has been proven that artificial intelligence can develop some kind of intuition based on previous experiences. However, our intuition is not necessarily related to our previous experiences.
Exactly.
We have some higher, let's say, wisdom or knowing, even without data. And there is also a huge advantage of, let's say, wisdom over intelligence, is that intelligence always needs input data to have outputs. Wisdom do not have to have an input data.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And I believe that, when I was in Goldman Sachs program, they taught us about making a decision. And I was very surprised that investment banking was based partly on an intuition. I don't know, you have experience, you worked in investment.
Not partly, everything was based on intuition. So
you see, I was very surprised.
That is also the reason why it's so problematic when these investment bankers do a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol, and they're not they're not in shape, for example, physically. Then all this decision making is basically very problematic. As I said, it's a body cognition. So if you're not healthy, your mind is not. If your body is not healthy, your mind is not healthy. If your mind is not healthy, decisions are not wise. So this is the biggest problem of investment bankers, and why so many investment bankers born by like 35 years old. That is a huge problem, because the stress is huge, and the number of information that they have to process daily is just enormous.
That was completely new information for me. What do you think about? I was watching a few videos online about humanoid robots. I mean, Tesla has one. There is Sophia. There is Amica. They are like very advanced, obviously based on artificial intelligence. What do you think about that kind of robotics?
I would like to say that at least I know from the late 80s, there were many robots being developed. Namely, it was US Army that tried to develop robots so that they would not lose human lives if there would be like a big battle coming.
Any kind of war.
And there was also a program where they started to integrate human parts with electronics, because a lot of soldiers on the field lost their legs or lost their eye or hearing, and so now it's normal that people have like hearing aid. This was developed by the army, so from this testing facility, and I do believe that these humanoid robots are a way to go. Right now, I believe they're more or less useless, except for the development phases. But if you hire a mate, you will have much better output than a humanoid robot, even if a robot would cost 10 million. And I would like also to stress that I'm a user of iRobot for over a decade, and it has limited utilization, especially because I have a dog that has long hair, Caucasian Shepherd. So everything that is not industrial grade, it's let's say useless in fight against this hair. And it's the same with the lawn. So moving lawn, it's just it's something. If it's not in perfect lines, if it's a bit in a mountain area, it's impossible to do anything, or it's extremely expensive. So I see a future. I have saw huge improvement in last decade. But I don't see, for example, a company being able to purchase like a robot to fulfill certain task. I don't see that. For example, there's a lot of talk about the UPS drivers, how much money they make in US, like 180,000 per year. I don't believe that robots at this point are able to substitute them with what we consider a simple task of loading and unloading packages. And it seems that it's not so simple if robots cannot substitute them. So even if it seems trivial to us, the mathematics behind it is still too much for useful solution right now.
It looks like we are living in very exciting times and things are changing so much. Just to conclude something, a lot of people laughed on my predictions when they asked me in 2019 what will happen until the end of 2023. And I said that artificial intelligence will be taking over a lot of business processes, except empathy, kindness, innovation, and these kinds of soft skills. What are your thoughts about that? Is AI at this moment or any time in the future will be capable of learning soft skills too?
First, let me comment on your prediction.
I had a dream.
No. Although I'm extremely skeptical, I would like to stress that as far as the goods transferred and money transferred, most of the processes is at least supervised or searched for different patterns on the data that is generated by these processes by artificial intelligence. So to some extent, your prediction already came true. I think that is important to stress. As for the low level, what we as let's say normal people in normal interaction can see, we have a lot of aids that are artificial intelligence aided. For example, our navigation in cars is almost completely aided by artificial intelligence. If there's a roadblock, you will get an alternative route and similar. If there's a potential problem in your car, you will be notified. If you have a Siri assistant on your phone and all this stuff. So there is a lot of small things that are extremely useful with optimization. When you said that you have that AI has helped you improve 4-fold on your time to market with your workshop, I would assign that to automatization and optimization. So the third one where you could improve your profitability would be outsourcing. Maybe with outsourcing, you could improve that further. However, right now, artificial intelligence can help you only automate to some extent and optimize to also to some extent.
If a company or someone would like to work with you, what's the best way to find you or reach out to you?
Usually everyone access me through my LinkedIn. So I will send you a link. So if you would put it in the description, that would be perfect.
Yes, of course I will. Of course I will. Thank you so much for being my guest and for sharing your wisdom. I didn't say intelligence, I said wisdom. I truly enjoyed, and I hope you did too.
Thank you again for the invitation, and it was my pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.